Good evening and welcome to the Bellefleur Tire Shop Grand Falls Greenfoot Rapids post-game show. It's a 3-1 loss at the hands of the Truro Bearcats and a real tough game. And look, I always try to find the positives in these games, but tonight was a little bit tough. They just were completely, as you say, they were just completely bested, right? Things started out decent. First period still scoreless. We saw that in the game on Friday night against West Kent. And unfortunately, they just couldn't find their rhythm until the third period, right? They ended up scoring early into the third, but then right away, Jake Todd takes that lead away, or takes that tie away, and gives Truro the lead. So I'll let you make that as you will. Unfortunately, you're going to have games like this. You're going to have ones where you won't necessarily want to remember. It's the second straight loss for Grand Falls against Truro. But, believe it or not, there were actually some good things in this game. I liked a couple of things. For one, Nathan Plemenot-Michaud, his goal was spectacular. The one that got the Rapids on the board, he took the puck away in the offensive zone, ended up putting it on net, and just blasting it past the goaltender. And Luca Connolly, you got to give him credit where credit's due. He played incredible this game. They got goalied. The power play just wasn't quite clicking where they wanted it to. And at the end of the day, it was just that one goal that ended up costing them and, well, I guess losing them the game. So with that said, was it a bad game? No. Did the Rapids play badly? No. Did it suck because it was a close matchup? Absolutely it did. Because those, I find those are the ones that sting the most, is the ones that are the closest that they had a real good fighting chance to win and then just couldn't do it in time. Because, again, they played well. They played their hearts out. They did a great job. But in the end, just was Truro besting them, and that's how things went. So we're going to have Oliver Plant joining the show soon just to talk about not just today's game, but the look forward as well as how he's been in Grand Falls so far and how he's been enjoying it. There's going to be so much to talk about on this show. I'm real excited to have him on. But with that said, we're going to look ahead into some of the games that are coming up in the next week or so with the Grand Falls Rapids, of course, coming up. They have 2 more games in their 5-game homestand. As we said on the broadcast earlier in the week, they're 3 games in now. It was a loss against the Campbellton Tigers, a win against the West Kent Steamers, and now a loss against the Truro Bearcats. They've got the Valley Wildcats and then the Campbellton Tigers on Sunday. So we'll go into the game against the Valley Wildcats. We'll talk a little bit about that. So the last time that these two teams faced each other, it was an 8-4 domination, okay, against the Valley Wildcats in Berwick. And that was a game, you saw the best of the best in these guys who came out and just played their game, played every way that they could, and just they did everything they could to get the win. And it ended up working, right? So then you fast forward a little bit to when, obviously, their next couple of games, not so great. They came home, they won, they lost to the West Kent Steamers, and then, of course, the rest is history, right? But even still, they were able to play that game well. And I think if they are able to keep playing their game well, they will honestly have a fighting chance against the Valley Wildcats, the Valley Timberwolves, I almost said. The Valley Wildcats, and this is a team, again, who has struggled. They're 6-20 on the season. The Rapids have been there before. They're not there now, thankfully, but have been in that position before, right? And with Truro now winning this game, that moves them into a tie for first place in the Eastlink South. And yes, you know what? This is, I believe, the last time that these two teams are going to face each other this season. Amen. Good riddance. Season series is over. Yes, congratulations. You swept the season series. That's fine. However, there are so many more games left to play. The Rapids have only played 28 games out of 52 in the season, and there's still a lot of work to be done, right? We are officially in the last day of November, which means the month of December is going to be full steam ahead. You're going to need every possible hand on deck to come in and gain some points before the Christmas break, because as I've stressed time and time again, you're going to need to make up those points before the trade deadline because, well, it's coming fast. Once you get back from the Christmas break, there's not really a whole lot of time until the trade deadline. And, well, once the deadline hits, then it's full steam ahead into March when the playoffs start. And again, man, it's going to be a very close road to the playoffs. I'm looking at the standings right now. There is now 11 points that separate first place from last place. The Rapids are 8 points away from last, and so on and so forth. Nonetheless, it's not all doom and gloom. They are still, thankfully because it's an interdivisional matchup, they are still sitting in second place in the Eastlink North Division. Yes, the Edmundston Blizzard, well, from the looks of it, they are going to win the game. I would be very surprised if they didn't at this point because they had, well, such a massive lead against Campbellton Tigers. Yeah, the unofficial final is 8-3 final score. Yeah, they're within a point of Grand Falls. But that's fine. Now is not the time to panic because this is what makes the division race so exciting and so competitive, is because there's that little point difference between the two teams. They're going to keep it competitive and they're going to keep it rolling throughout the course of the rest of the season, especially with how close it gets. With that said, doesn't get any easier, as I mentioned, but nonetheless, we'll still make for some entertaining hockey down this last half of the season that we have. And, well, you never know. Things are going to be very, very interesting. So they have 2 games left in their homestand before they are heading onto the road to face off against the Edmundston Blizzard and the Miramichi Timberwolves. So the Blizzard, that's going to be another game, of course, that we're all looking forward to. Before that, it's the Valley Wildcats and the Campbellton Tigers. So it's Cat Week once again. I've got 2 cats myself. You know, gotta plug the kitties every so often. But it's going to be Cat Week coming up next week. So they want to obviously go to a perfect 2-0 in that stretch. Should Chaleur lose both games that they have next weekend as well, the Rapids will move back into first place. If all goes well and all just kind of comes down to what it's supposed to, things are going to go extremely well. And, well, honestly, I think this is going to be a much more promising week of hockey up ahead. Things, obviously circumstances happen where you can't win every game. You want a 5-game losing streak. You break that losing streak, and you're going to lose 1 or 2, hopefully not more than that in that little stretch that you have going on. But nonetheless, still a great effort by the Rapids. Yes, it sucked that it was not a win, but they kept it close right up until the very end when they had a couple of great chances to bury it and tie the game. Nonetheless, still entertaining, still great, and still an amazing effort by this Grand Falls group. They did not back down. Yes, they got the loss, but no, they did not falter. So with that being said, final thoughts. Great game overall. It was tense. It was close, like we mentioned. And there were just a couple of things to work on for this Rapids group. I mean, obviously the power play just was not clicking out there. They went 0 for 3. Couldn't get on the power play. They have not scored a power play goal since Wednesday night when Braden Campbell got the only goal of the game against Campbellton Tigers. So think about that for a minute. Power play still needs some work. They are leading, according to the standings and the stats, they are leading the division in power play percentage. I do not believe it. I will not believe it, because this is just it's like almost like 2 different things that you're seeing on the ice. Either way, power play needs a little bit of work, and aside from that, that's really the only flaw. I mean, they were they were doing their best to get those chances. They couldn't obviously get those crisp passes that they wanted through the neutral zone and get things going. But unfortunately, just wasn't quite the way that they wanted it to. So with that being said, we are going to wrap up the show this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. And also, don't forget, before I go, do not forget to vote for your Player of the Week. The voting goes live this evening for your Rapids Heat Index Player of the Week. Something that you're not going to want to miss out on. And if you want to say in what player you would like to vote for the Heat Index Player of the Week this week, make sure that you get your votes in before Friday morning, and we will count them towards the Player of the Week. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell notification for all future content, and we will see you back here on Friday night when the Valley Wildcats roll into town to face off against your Grand Falls Greenfoot Rapids.